relatively poor showings. I don't want to say poor showings because they were obviously the underdog on both of their matches, but Thailand, I think, looked a little bit better. Mexico didn't manage to muster up a point versus Romania. But both of these teams looking to bounce back and make a decent losers run. So on the side of Thailand, we have dogs. We have dogs.
Oh goodness, the timing is great. Yeah, so Thailand really running with a pretty decent roster this year. Very different, I think, from previous years and their qualifying performances and such. And Mexico as well, with a couple of losses maybe and a couple of joiners. Again, of course, we talked about all this in previous weeks. Their No Mud 2 performance from qualifiers left something to behold when compared to their No Mud 2 performance in the round of 32, where they had an average team score of sub 500,000, or just over 500,000, I believe. It was pretty close on, and then Thailand having not played that, but pretty, kind of interesting performance from Mexico compared to, I think, what people thought they were capable of, and then Thailand having a couple of pretty decent scores. They had a 600, some 600, 700Ks, even pushing towards almost 900K for some of their averages. Mexico really didn't push past that 700K point last week, so putting them up against each other on a slightly harder pool, we'll see how the scaling starts to take effect.
Be very careful not to get dogged right now, which is not a very good way to just say that. But Mexico coming off of that 5-0 loss to Romania, I don't even care anymore. Obviously, they still have great players. They've had this core for a while: Wolfie, Riot, and Fukizi Mexicano. Like they're a solid team. They just had a very tough opponent in Romania. So yeah, I would say
it just adds to the content. This is great.
I would say that Mexico is slightly favored, but this should be a relatively close affair.
Yeah, I think even if we're purely going off of pick'ems, which I hope most people in Twitch chat are kind of keeping track of, according to the votes for each team, there's 626 votes to count for a 51.4% chance of Mexico winning, compared to 592 for a 48.6% chance of winning for Thailand. So pretty split down the middle here for, what viewer perception is for the potential that this match has. I think both teams going for some pretty smart bans here. You've got the No Mud 2 ban from Thailand, which, if last week was a fluke for Mexico, they certainly don't want to take their chances with that. And then the Hard Rock 2 ban for Mexico against Thailand, making kind of a decent amount of sense from qualifiers, not really from last week. Thailand played Hard Rock 1. They didn't do a super good job of it. They averaged sub 350,000 score as a team on that map, so there's not a whole lot of good Hard Rock showing on that side. It may potentially just be a ban based on their own skill sets not quite lining up with what that slot requires. But I digress. They are going into Hidden 2 to start on Thailand's pick. They had a good performance on this last week. They averaged above 650,000 score as a team. Mexico did not play this map, nor did they have a really good showing on Hidden, very much so, in qualifiers. So there's a lot of, and they had a really kind of a rough go of Hidden 1 last week too. So leaves a lot to be said for how this pick will go for Thailand or Mexico. I guess. I mean, I don't know. As one of the poolers and somebody who's had a lot of experience with this pool, how do you think this Hidden 2 kind of chalks up to last week's?
I think that this Hidden 2 is a lot more complex. Like, last week we had a lot of aim elements. Like, you could easily miss on the snap aim or the aim on streams. This one is a lot more reading focused, in my opinion. Like, you have a lot of slider patterns that are a little bit more complex to read. You have disjointed flow. You have weirder rhythms to interpret. So I think there's just an overall more complex map that will see lower scores. Something to be said about Thailand is that on both of the low AR maps last pool, so they had Into the Unknown and Eye of Aeon. On both of those maps, Salvatore really performed admirably. Like, he had an FC on Eye of Aeon and a really good run with Hidden on Into the Unknown. So that's definitely a player to look out for. Meanwhile, on the side of Mexico, apparently not many people are doing very well. Saint SFT was holding the FC, but he just broke there. Wolfie is the only one holding any sort of meaningful combo.
Kadama and Phantasma with the 2 breaks on the side of Thailand right now. Interesting to see, actually, Chaifuk-Chep and Phantasma were the 2 lowest scorers on Thailand last week. Phantasma going to be finding a break again. Salvatore, like you mentioned, he's kind of the big player for Thailand on this pick here. Going to make a world of difference holding this full combo with 99% accuracy. Really has a good command of these doubles afterwards, which I think for most players are going to be the big problem this week is, you know, accurately aiming to those is harder than it looks. It's pretty easy to over or under aim those when you're snapping off of a slider, and Salvatore is pretty much showing us that, you know, with a little bit of practice, a little bit of a low AR hidden ability here.
This section specifically is a little bit tougher because there's a lot of confusing rhythms, a lot of stuff that's not necessarily like super straightforward to play. There's also like a lot of weird movements in between them, like 1-4 jumps and kind of like wiggly patterns that they can really catch you off guard. Salvatore just making quick work of them.
Oh, and yes!
Loves FC it through the ending.
Excited. That's so exciting. I love seeing FCs in the early stages of the match. That's great. Wow. 8 100s from Salvatore. 99.1% accuracy. Actually below their teammate of Phantasma with 1 and 3 misses. Unfortunately, spacing them out a little bit more. Not a lot of combo to be had there. Chaifuk-Chep having a decent amount of trouble on this one compared to last week. Went down a little bit from 299k, was the lowest score on their team last time as well, so kind of to be expected again, but some great
I do believe that Chaifuk-Chep is their fill player for Hidden. He's a very good player in his own right, like he obviously had a great qualifier run, but on Hidden specifically, I think he is just filling, like, they're not necessarily like that good of a hidden team besides reading, but like they have kind of like 1 or 2 man strong lineup, and then the other people are either just alright or just filling.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to be a pretty big player on a lot of Mexico's picks here this week. They played 3 out of the 4 total picks from Thailand last time, or 3 out of the 4 out of 5? 4 out of 6? 4 out of 6? All right, I just keep finding more. They played 4 out of 6 of Thailand's picks last week. Didn't do exceptionally well on DT1, but looked a hell of a lot better on DT3 and Free Mod 2, so a very tapping-oriented player, which means that future downloader is going to be a pretty solid pick for someone like Chaifuk-Chep, and I imagine it's going to be a big portion of why Thailand could potentially contest this pick from Mexico just slightly. Looking for, based on last week, a roster of Phantasma in before Chaifuk-Chep and Chorus here. Maybe
on the exact analog, so on Golden Days, which was pretty much your last week, in before was actually not in. I think it was replaced by Kadama.
He was not, but he did play DT3.
Yes. But yeah, they didn't have a very good showing as a team, but Chaifuk-Chep did see that map on Nomad. This one is a little bit different as it has a lot more higher AR as a base. So maybe that will change some dynamics. Maybe some of the more mechanics-based players who usually play speed maps and high AR will find it more comfortable just to run the Nomad. Like Riot, I know, is a particularly good mechanics player. Wolfie as well, always been a solid player for that Mexico squad. But this map is a tale of two maps, essentially. There's the good kind of like what you pick the map for, which is the speed part at the start and in a couple of spots near the second half. But there's also the big Kickstarter aim section, and there's the ever brutal ending with all those buzz sliders and all that stuff that can really mess you up. So if it's a close endeavor, I would watch out for that ending as something that can potentially shift the tide.
Yeah, I think we're looking for the team performance, as you mentioned, from Mexico today. It really is just going to be on the back of having a lot of these high skill cap tapping, mechanics players on their roster compared to Thailand, who I think, while they do have, one or two players, obviously we mentioned players like potentially Chorus or Chipuk to perform well on picks like this. You're looking for more consistency from the Mexico squad on this one right here. They're just super comfortable on this style of map here. And having somebody like Wolfie or Pundais on the Nomad right now really guarantees that you're going to have some good Nomad scores to put up. There goes Kedama on the longer burst, the first of many here for Thailand at the start. So Mexico is going to start to claw back a little bit where they lost on the ACK, but there goes Wolfie actually. So it's going to stay pretty close again. Really Riot on that hard rock accuracy right now, struggling alongside Chorus here. 96% for both of them right now. Karu on the Noma, or on the Hidden, 97%, still holding both mod FCs on Mexico, something to be noted here as well. Only a mod FC broken on Thailand, which is actually better for them because Pundis is going to find a break now. So it's Riot and Karu, your two mod players, holding for Mexico. There goes Karu and Wolfie again. Mexico's just not having a good time of this, or actually, I think Thailand is just having a really good time.
As we kind of said before, like, the first half of the map, maybe they're trying to bank on that second half. Like, obviously they've seen some of the talent speed, and they've seen their scores, they've seen their MPs, and that wasn't that shaky, but maybe they're just banking on the second half as the wheel ringer misses. Yeah, so far, nothing though, but in before, and Kedama on the bus sliders.
So early in the section. Here comes some big slider potential for breaks if you're not comfortable with some of these ticks on here. They're really banking on a lot to wait for this ending section if you're Mexico here. If everyone's able to combo through it, well, then they do have a chance of pulling this back. But there goes Riot, the last FC on Mexico, and there's just nothing for them anymore. I don't actually think this ending makes any difference now. Chorus and Chipuk are just running through this. A hard rock full combo still from... Alright, never mind, I'm sorry, Chorus. Don't yell at me. Finally breaks, but Chipuk, kind of the star of the mechanics roster for Thailand here, really putting the work in. 99.22% towards the ending, going to start to climax a little bit here. Hundreds on the difficult patterns, but if you haven't broken yet, you're really not going to break right here at the ending.
You are.
You might get buzz slider, but you're not going to break. I think he's pretty confident with this tapping. Look how confident this is. He's literally not dropping hundreds.
He just has the confidence. He's just built different. He's actually built different. Wow.
God. That was insane. All right. Well, unfortunate for Mexico. Really, a slider break only from Pundis on their Riot, trying to do whatever he could for the second top score on the map with the Hard Rock longest combo on their team. And it just didn't matter. Chipuk and Chorus holding on for 1,300 and 1,700 combo respectively. And in before only with a slider break. Kedama, really the only one on the Thailand roster that had some trouble with this map, and even then was pretty much in line above the bottom two scores on Mexico. So they're now going to have to take a kind of a different direction against Thailand here, now that they know that, speed and tapping is not quite as solidly in their favor as they would want.
This is very worrying for Mexico, because I think their game plan was just to try and speed abuse.
Yeah.
And if you think about that, like before the match, you're just like, okay, we're gonna pick the speed, we're gonna pick Fumachu, we're gonna pick all the DTs, and then you get shown up like on the first map of your plan, That's never a good feeling. I personally would like to see Mexico try for some of the more aimy picks, like No Mod 1, Hard Rock 1, maybe Free Mod 1. And try maybe for a different side of mechanics, more towards the aim, because you see Thailand has a pretty decent roster for tapping maps. Like they could have seen that and judged that from the Australian peak. But I don't know, man. Like I especially am expecting Hard Rock 1 eventually, given that Thailand looked a little bit shakier on the Hard Rocks than you might want to. Okay. Fremont 3 is interesting because this is I would not be absurd in saying that this is consensus the easiest map in the pool. So the real question about this map is how many mods do you take on it?
Yeah, I kind of agree. I think kind of my perspective of this map was, you know, at the beginning of this match where Thailand kind of knows what they're good at and they have most maps open in the pool. This isn't really favored to a mechanics team or to a non-mechanics team here, which means that it's more of a gamble than Thailand maybe betting on at the beginning of the match with a map that's this contested. I think in terms of mod players, based on what we saw between Mexico and Thailand on the previous pick, there's really not a favored mod category on this. Chorus did great with the Hard Rock for Thailand, and Riot did great with the Hard Rock for Mexico, but that completely changes now that the hidden players are going to be able to way more confidently play this map than they most likely were able to on the other pick, especially with players like Salvatore joining the lobby for Thailand here. Imagine they'll be one of the hidden players here. It really is potentially going to be on those no mod combos, in my opinion.
I am really surprised.
Thailand.
I'm really surprised that, first of all, Mexico didn't overmod at all, and also I'm surprised that Riot is going no mod on this. He's usually their Hard Rock.
Yeah, that's surprising. I think I'm surprised Riot didn't go on the Hard Rock instead of Cambaros, because I think Cambaros is probably able to full combo this with no mod, but I can also see Mexico wanting Riot and Pundice, who are arguably their two strongest players in this lobby, to maybe combo well with no mod. Riot's going to find a break at the beginning on nothing, but I guess that technically doesn't matter. Cambaros did as well.
It is interesting, right? Because we have this whole conundrum. This map is like a little bit easier. So if it's a little bit easier, you kind of want the high skill cap, or well, the high skill floor really, players to go on mods and stuff where they can really like make a difference, because even if you're like not really prepared for the difficulty in this pool, you can still like get an FC on no mod usually. But Riot is having like a little bit of trouble on the no mod, at least in the early stages of this map.
Yeah, he's over aiming a lot.
Meanwhile, Chambers is, after that early break, holding strong, so maybe it was a good play there.
Yeah, Cambaros is kind of doing what I expected both Riot and Cambaros to do. I was expecting, one break at the beginning, maybe getting into the swing of things, and then comboing through the remainder of it, but we're approaching halfway, and Riot has just now started to build a combo up here. Meanwhile, Thailand, they're doing their thing. Really not too much to say over there. I'm in hopes of not jinxing anything, I will kind of avoid, talking into specifics right now, but we're looking good for this refrain section, but there goes Cambaros again on the Hard Rock. There's just too much uncertainty between Riot and Cambaros on this pick here, and at this point I do genuinely wonder if it would have benefited Mexico to switch the mod on that one. Kadama is going to find the first break on the side of Thailand with the hidden, which is going to give Mexico their shot back into this. It is a 200,000 score lead for Thailand right now, so there is some ground to cover, but the door is open.
What I will say is that last week, Thailand looked very nervous on their free mods. Like, something didn't feel right, they were maybe a little bit less comfortable, especially their modded players were, besides Salvatore, of course, but like their their mods were not really that confident, but this time, both of the mods are holding very, very good.
Minecrafter Shake. Oh, they finally went.
Jesus.
Oh god, it was really bad for him.
And Kodama as well, so
Oh my god!
Salvatore, the only modded player still holding
Miles?
the combo.
I'm sorry, this is really bad. This is really bad shakes.
Yeah, no, that happened last match too.
Did it? Oh my goodness, I've never seen Minecrafter Shake this bad. You know, it doesn't really matter too much. Salvatore and Phantasma holding the score. Alright, no, Phantasma holding the score down for Thailand right now. It's just Riot on Mexico, who does not have an FC, which means that Thailand is going to bring their own pick home on this one. Minecrafters hitting these streams. Oh my god. I'm actually very intrigued. Every single note Minecrafter hits is impressive to me right now.
This
is small circles, too. This is CS 5.5.
It's not... Yeah, it's a 5.8.
Yeah, it's still pretty small for that like, that level of shake, it's easy to find a few misses on some of those, but I guess that really puts into perspective for those of you watching, you know, if you do keep track of community tournaments and even large-scale community tournaments, the amount of nerves that can come into play on a World Cup stage when you are representing your country is infinitely higher than most community tournament nerves. Like, you could be grand finals tiebreaker community tournament, you won't feel the pressure that this type of match gives you. It's just very hard to replicate. So Minecrafter's pretty understandable level of shake there. You know, it's kind of unfortunate to see because he was playing really well with the Hard Rock, but you know, Thailand, they're going to go up 3-0 regardless onto Mexico's next point. They're going to go for Nomad 4 now, switch it up just a little bit.
This is interesting because as far as feedback is concerned, people are, like many people are saying this. The Nomad 4 this week is a tech map that's like not very techy. Like, it's very aim focused on a lot of these, even though like a lot of the patterns and are pretty aim focused, even though the map itself kind of feels like it's very like densely populated with circles, like it's very 1-4 heavy. It's also like very aimy, so it's kind of like a tech pick kind of mechanics hybrid, so to say. So
low aiming. Yeah.
So this might be a Mexico attempt at like trying to kind of pick one of those like less conventional mechanics picks, like we said, that don't involve tapping that much. But it might also be like Mexico just trying to branch out completely and trying to get really that tech aspect to weigh in. It's weird. It's a pick that I'm surprised by, but I'm not super weirded out by it.
I'm gonna put some speculation forward here, as you know, from previous tournaments and what we've seen certain teams do. When you go down 3-0 at the beginning of a best of 11 match, or best of 9 match, sorry. It's really easy to get blindsided by the fact that you are not confident on your first pick. And there's two different routes that teams take. They either branch out into the map pool and try and figure out different routes that they can take within the pool, or they stick to what their original plan was and take that pick as a fluke. And Mexico is going the kind of prior route here, where they're going to try and figure out, all right, we lost our first mechanics pick by a pretty decent margin. Is there anywhere else in the pool that we can look? And right now, their idea is we pick high-velocity sliders, we pick, kind of like you were mentioning earlier, you wanted to see Mexico venture into some of the more aim-oriented picks. Nomad 4 is kind of a light introduction to that, where it really does require a lot more aim than some of the picks we've seen thus far at a, relatively high BPM with these slider velocities. And it's catching Thailand off guard a bit, especially on a player like Chorus, who seems to, and Salvatore now down as well. It's really just Cambaros finding big breaks. I've seen SFT. It's just fantastic.
Chat is trading. So Phantasma, Pundice
Ooh,
dropping his combo there.
that might be bad. Oh, there's double breaks.
Riot still has a meaningful combo.
Oh, Phantasma lost.
Does break.
Phantasma broke. I think
map
that's
is
it.
brutal.
I think Mexico is able to take it now. I hate calling it early, but 2 minutes on this pick here, and Riot has a 670 combo with nothing to speak of on pretty much every other player in the lobby. Throwing a three-way break from Thailand to solidify it, if it didn't already. Mexico looking to get themselves on the board here on the back of Riot's performance.
Very good performance from Riot here. As we kind of expected, El Coquizi Mexicano showing up and putting the country on his back. Everyone else having respectable scores, at least on the side of Mexico. Struggling a little bit in the side of Thailand, but it wasn't their pick, so you just have to kind of shrug that off.
Yeah, going kind of back and forth a little bit now. I think that's kind of what I think most people expected that kind of outcome here, where Mexico would win their picks and Thailand would be winning their picks given their performance in terms of previous weeks. But so it was a little surprising to see Thailand take a break point, especially on Mexico's first pick here. But, I think the confidence that Mexico is potentially gaining from winning a pick like this going into the rest of the match is going to help them out a little bit. Thailand is going to go straight into DT2. I'm not going to question it because they did do a great job on the free mud, and they've looked good on speed for the most part so far in this match in terms of the mechanics match up to Mexico. But Riot seems to be the big player for Mexico right now, and Riot put up a full combo on last week's DT2, alongside a couple of 1 and 2 misplays from the supporting staff on Mexico. Thailand didn't play DT2. They played DT1 and 3. So they played Stamina, they played Aim. They did really well on both of them.
I wouldn't say that playing DT2 last week gets you any sort of information for this week's, because it was just so different. The DT2 last week was kind of like an older alt style map. This one is just flat out Stamina, just foot on the pedal, never let go. But yeah, it's interesting because you saw Mexico's first pick. They're like, okay, let's speed abuse them, and then they don't. And then Thailand's like, oh, okay, we have our pick now. Let's try and speed abuse right back. So it's interesting in the sense that both of these teams have a very overlapping sort of very overlapping strengths and weaknesses. The things we saw this far, Thailand has a definite edge on reading, but I think that's basically the only reading map you'll find in the pool. We had a little bit of reading on Fremont 3, but it's obviously a little bit lighter. Meanwhile, Fremont 1, also kind of a dense map, but not really reading. But they're both very good at the tapping maps, especially the stamina maps with people like In Before, with people like Chaifukchet. And on the other side, we have Riot, Pundice, very, very solid DT players on their own right.
Yeah.
Also, just one more thing. It's really important that Mexico got that point back, because just looking at a 3-0 is
rough.
Really demoralizing. It doesn't. Yeah. It's literally just one break point, but you're already halfway to giving up. You just feel so bad.
No, certainly, especially when it was your first pick of the match. But back into the swing of things here. I worry for Mexico a little bit on a pick like this. I don't really worry about Thailand on speed-oriented maps, because I think that they have a good overall team consistency on stuff like this, and we're kind of starting to see what I mean here pretty early for Mexico. It's generally been 1 or 2 players on Mexico that can play speed, and then it's a gamble between what their other 2 are able to put up right now, and unfortunately for them, Wolfie and Saint SFT really having a lot of trouble at the beginning here. Slightly fortunately, or unfortunately rather for Thailand, In Before is going to be trading out one of these beginning breaks, but Chaifuk Chep and Chorus, they're doing exactly what they need to be doing on these speed maps for Thailand right now. They've looked so good for everything they've been in for this match right now. It's just in before having trouble for Thailand right now. ET, maybe a little bit of struggle here at the 97% accuracy, does show some uncertainty on the tapping, but I mean, Chorus and Chaifuk Chep, unless they miss on aim right now, like, I really don't see a way that they break on one of these bursts here. They just look so clean for this.
I feel really sorry for Saint SFT because he's very clearly just not supposed to be here.
Yeah.
He's not supposed to be in for this map, he just has to. Like, sometimes you just have to tank. And it feels kind of bad just seeing this, but, it's respectable. Like, if anything, you can respect the hustle, you can respect that team play.
Wait, hold on. Opportunity everyone in Mexico has to hold. Wait, no, Thailand, no.
It's 300,000 and there's like...
This is doable.
15% of the map left.
This is doable. Every single player with an FC on Mexico right now has another 150,000 score. This is doable. And Wolfie is going to make up the difference. Oh my god. No. Oh my god, I thought it was going to go back. Oh,
it wasn't enough. Oh,
that was close. I actually got really excited there at the ending. I'm trying not to yell so that my entire hallway can hear me, but oh man, I definitely would have made an exception for that. 2 FCs on Mexico and a 1 miss at the beginning from Wolfie, and it really was just the difference between Saint SFT being 5 times behind in terms of score because of being a fill player on that one, and Thailand able to grab their own pick just barely at the ending. They almost blundered, but that was, again, I think from the beginning we kind of thought that was Thailand's wheelhouse, and it was pretty surprising to see Mexico almost able to come back at the ending of that. But again, it is just unfortunate when you see maps like this, and you see these really strong players unfortunately just have to play stuff like you said. Like, Saint SFT just had to play this. I think that regardless of what score he put up, that was probably better than any alternative player could have done on that map for them. So, major props for sitting in and chatting through that, but well done to Thailand for barely closing that out. Mexico gonna go in for the aim again here, which I think is a good direction for them. I don't know if I would have gone for DT aim, but aim is good.
If I was Mexico's captain right now, I would be scared to death of DT. Like, I wouldn't want to pick DT at all. Like, I got... I don't want to say I got rocked on Freemachu, but They got rocked. Yeah, no.
It was 700k almost, I think.
They lost decisively. They lost decisively on Freemachu.
Yeah.
And then that DT shoot, it was close, but it was close because of a couple of blunders from Thailand at the very end there. But I'm just like allergic to DT if I'm Mexico. Like, I look at that and I'm like, you betrayed me for the last time. I'm gonna go and branch out to like a Hard Rock or like a Nomad. It's weird.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, listen, I want to see Mexico get another point on the board here. I think that would be great for their team morale, and and I say that for no reason other than I want all of these matches to be close. I want every team to be playing to the best of their abilities. But if I also may say right now, Thailand is playing so well today. I mean, as a team, the performance from pretty much all 4 players on every map they've picked has been pretty damn good. There's really been very little faulting and stupid misses and stuff like that from them on here. Mexico, while they have had their fair share of impressive moments and great scores on there, I think just are slightly less confident as a team on this pool right now. You see little 1 misses here and there. You see, players like Riot taking Nomad on a free mod where, Hard Rock may have been a better option. I think they're just a little bit more shaken by the performance from Thailand than anything right now, but you know, Thailand's going to find a beginning break on Mexico's pick right now. They've got a little bit of an early combo lead here, but the accuracy consistently from them keeps the score on Thailand's side. It's going to go over just a little bit. This is a short pick again, 2 minutes and 25 seconds, like the Nomad 4.
It has 2 breaks, I believe. So in both of those breaks, people will be able. Oh,
that's a lot of
hey! Both of those breaks, people will be able to see the other scores, get nervous, or also lose focus, which I think was kind of what happened there. A lot of people getting caught off by that aim spike. Currently, it's Saint FT breaking, so there's 1 FC to 1. Shifachep versus Riot currently. And
slightly better supporting combo on Thailand.
Yeah, in before he broke early, but he has a better combo right now.
Oh, that might be it.
Oh no.
Oh, Riot. That's...
You miss right before the break, and you have to watch the combo dwindle down.
I do feel very bad. That was an unfortunate break, but I do also have to say, I don't know if Mexico would have won this pick regardless. In Before has such a good supporting combo after that initial break, and Chorus and Phantasma are doing better than either Wolfie or Saint SFT or, you know, would have been doing. So, you know, as much as I'd like to say it's terrible that he found that broke, it didn't matter a whole lot in the end. And Thailand, in such impressive fashion, is going to make this score lead and win a much bigger margin than what Mexico probably expected. And well done to them into the end. Chifuk with an absolutely stellar speed performance today on another full combo for Thailand, and that is a 5-1 victory for them.
Well, that's very decisive. That's a lot more decisive than I think anyone thought it would get. Like, the Thai team just came in, I think, better prepared, had, like, just better performances and had a clear game plan. Like, they just started off with reading, and then they go into, like, a sort of flow aim hidden kind of stuff. And they could just contest Mexico's game plan, like, very well. As a team, the matchup felt right, and the players delivered. Meanwhile, it's a kind of disappointing end for Mexico.